Hello! It's Friday. I'm CJ. This week we're talking about sex. Navigating sexuality. Right, I want to talk today particularly about spectrum, right? Which isn't going to surprise you because it's me and that's probably going to be what they put on my gravestone. They'll be like, is CJ alive or dead? We don't know. They are definitely on the spectrum of alive and or dead. I'll be like Schrodinger's Tran. So, we're talking about sex, sexuality. I am proudly bisexual. I do think that certainly when you're first coming out, like one of the things that's kind of important is to like give yourself a break on the sexuality front. Don't worry too much about what anything means because you are in the point where you are worrying about what everything means. But I think you have to be like super mindful of the fact that like you are trying to figure stuff out. You don't have to figure it all out in one go and you don't have to figure it all out at once. For some people, sexuality is not a choice at all. They are comfortable in their gender, they are comfortable in their attractions, they are homosexual, they are heterosexual, they are bisexual, they are pansexual. They are completely aware of who and who they are and who they're attracted to and what does it for them. And their experience is 100% valid. But for some people in the world, their sexuality is a fluid and changing thing, and sometimes it's only fluid from one direction to another. So sometimes somebody thinks that they're straight, and then they realise and appreciate the fact that they are gay, and so they are off they go and they're happy and they're gay. Some people, they're fluid, they love men, they love women, they love people in between, they love non-binary humans, they love everything. For other people, they just aren't sexually aroused by people, like sex is not a thing. Awesome, like all of these experiences are totally valid. I think what matters is that you don't allow people to put too much stress on you and you don't put too much stress on yourself. And this is where I'm very wary of things. Like, be careful with labels, because I think the thing about a label is great for a period of time. I have had many labels that I have enjoyed and that have served their purpose, and a little bit, like many things that have helped me get through my life, I've needed them for a definite period of time and then off I've gone. And you have to be aware of the fact that sometimes that's what a label can do. It can allow you to exist and it can allow you to be in the world, and then you can leave it behind. Not everybody's going to do this. Some people will never do this. Some people will never experience this. That is fantastic for you. Like, I think the point I'm trying to make is that you can experience a full spectrum of attraction and desire and all of those kinds of things. Whatever your experience is totally valid. I've had it where I've been, you know, almost exclusively attracted to women. Right now, I feel like I'm particularly attracted to men. I don't anticipate that staying the same because it never has done. But I don't worry too much about where that puts me in other people's eyes because I don't think it's anybody else's business. I wrote a piece just recently, actually. I'll link it down below. There's an excellent picture of a woman in a swimming pool, which I'm not 100% sure why that's there, but about the fact that I'm 32 and I'm single and I'm childless and I'm loving it and I love everything about my life. I don't particularly want a relationship, and I don't mean that in like the, oh, one day it'll happen for you, CJ. Like, it might not. You know, there are lots of things that might happen to me. Be prepared for the fact that things are going to change. You know, and to get into, I suppose, a demi-TMI spectrum, like when you're on T, you're going to want things. You might not know what they are, but they will arouse you and you will be interested in them and it will feel strange. If you're really lucky and you're on testosterone and antidepressants, you may find yourself doing like a ready, set, stop, where you just want to do the things, but at the same time you just can't ever get there. Which I think, you know, the hormone balances and the way that your body is changing and the way that your mind is changing in response to your body's configuration, like all of those things like shift and change all the time. Sexuality, sex, sexy times, all of those things, they're not something that you have to worry about. They're not dirty and they're not wrong and they're not bad, and you are as entitled to enjoy sex as anybody else is. Be careful that people don't fetishize you if you're a trans person, because that happens a lot. You know, you get a lot of people that are like, I really love trans people. And you're like, oh wow, I didn't realise that we all had the same personality and features and winning combinations. But give yourself a break. Give yourself the chance to be more fluid than you might expect. It might mean nothing. You may be 100% rock solid in your sexuality and like, CJ, you're wrong. And if that's the case, awesome. I'm really happy for you. I think that's great. You might be rock solid in your sexuality like I am, that your sexuality is not a rock solid thing. Also, fantastic. You can be anywhere on a spectrum. That's the great thing about spectrums. I feel like it's probably spectri. That's going to upset me now. And it's also okay to not have sex. We also don't talk about that a lot. Like, and sure, I don't mean it's okay to be asexual. I won't speak on behalf of asexual people. It is okay to have periods of time where you don't have sex with people. It's okay to have periods of time where you have sex with lots of people, as long as you're doing it on your terms and you're doing it for the reasons that you want to do. That's really what matters. So yeah, I guess my take on sex is like, if you want it, it's great. If you can get it and you love it and you want to do it, then do it. If you are less certain, then be careful with yourselves and try not to panic too much about it, because we live in a world that defines a lot of things by sex. We define a lot of arbitrary things based on sex. And actually, when you come down to it, it's all a little bit ridiculous. It's all a weird preoccupation sometimes for people that has nothing to do with anything that matters. And so a little bit of perspective, I think, probably helps too. But I'm also saying that because I'm old. You know, at 32, I do feel about sex very differently than I did at 22. And at 22, I was having a lot of sex. And so I've also done I had a wild, crazy youth, and I deeply enjoyed that. I've had relationships, I've deeply enjoyed those. Right now, I'm happy sort of floating around in the middle, not doing, I was going to say not doing anything, but I don't mean that, do I? I mean not doing anybody. Yes, I'm in the period where I'm not doing anybody, and I'm fine with that. So there you go. There's access into my life, probably more than any of you needed to know. How do you define? How have you talked about your sexuality? Talk to me down there. Let's talk about things, and I will speak to you next week. Okay, bye.